Good morning, everybody. I just want to make a quick video and talk about an experience I had last night. And just even talking about stuff, just about sharing your experiences. And I really learned the value of this last night. Last night we had a moon tribe meditation, full moon meditation. Had a really fat crystal grid. It's probably one of the biggest ones we've had, and just so many beautiful people and amazing energy there last night. It was really it was wonderful. We had it at a camp in St. Louis. Yeah, this was probably one of the more powerful ones for me because it was actually one of the ones that was more visionary. I really did not expect that. The meditation was led by Victor Farwell, and he's a shaman and leads guided meditations, and it was really wonderful. It's kind of hard for me to even put into words, but basically the meditation was taking us and kind of turning on our own light, getting faculties of the imagination really moving around, but in a really powerful way, combined with breath work. And there was some really, some alchemical things that we were keying in on to visualize, and whenever we would do that, it really kicked things up a notch for me in the vision space, because I've had a lot of visionary experiences, a lot of psychedelic experiences. That's where a lot of them come from. But this one was just the most profound one that I've had without anything, just breath. And I felt like all the lessons and all the connections from all of my journeys connected in that one moment. And I was just astounded that that could happen, and that like all it would take was a person to lead me kind of through that, to just go through that process in my own mind and sort out the knot. But I saw so we started with, creating just color and light above our head and focusing on that. And it gets everything kind of lubricated. And we started getting into the breath work, and I started to he was basically telling us to just kind of starting to pull out, and he told us so many things, but at one point I could see myself above my body, and I could see glimpses of the room, and then he was just explaining more of the vision space and more places for us to go, just keep going up, and it's so hard to put into words what exactly I saw, because a lot of it's felt too. But I can tell you what I felt. I felt a lot of love, a lot of bliss and joy, like I have in many meditations and with breath work and stuff. It tends to bring up those feelings, but it showed me the place where that came from through feeling, not necessarily visually with that. On that point, I could just feel that place where those feelings were coming from, more so than I had before. I felt more of my own center, if that makes sense. Next thing was opening up our connection to the stars and to that source of our light. And it was pinging me so hard from other experiences I'd had, and it just was forming in front of me, and it's hard for me to put into words what exactly it was. This is just so incredible. I'm still geeking out over this, because it's it was just basically at one point he was leading us to this door. He considered it as the Akashic records. That's what he was trying to take us to, and I could just see it so clear. That just this gold door, and inside of it was a space that I see a lot of times, either when I close my eyes or if I get deep into meditation. It's this subjective space that's full of swirling light and symbols and just energy. And I was looking in that space, it was like whatever I wanted to be, like looking at it. And it was everything. It was the other side to everything. But it was like any energy I put into it or anything, it would manifest archetypically to what that was. So it was like a loading room almost. But in that room, he was saying to look for your source, your light, yours specifically. And it brought me back to an experience I'd had 3 or 4 years ago. In a catalyzed state, I saw what that was. Like it was like this ball. It was like a buckyball, kind of. It had like hexagonal geometry around it, and then it had just this. It was like this ball of swarming fractals, and it was just emanating this intense, deep, like blue, and a mixture of a ton of other colors too. But it was just. So I could feel it, like that thing reaching to me all the way through that door, all the way back down to my body. And then he also had us go all the way down into the earth, into Pachamama. And like, that's where I also saw something that like really triggered me hard, which was the beginning of a lot of my journey, was this, it reminded me of this woodcut that I had seen when I first started my journeys. Like, I'll have to talk about it later sometime, my dream of when I saw this tiger and stuff, and like it encouraged me to go to New York to the Horizons Perspectives on Psychedelics conference, and there's an after party, and there was this woodcut sitting on this table, and there was an ayahuasca vine on it, and this whole thing, it has to do with ayahuasca, and it has to do with my needing to fully connect to Pachamama for me to gain the connection of the full Arabat, to fully understand and to feel and to have all the energy and connection of the whole tree, and that it's entirely possible. But I had to go undergo this whole journey to be able to get the scope of it, to even begin to think that that's possible. So I realized that now, and I've seen that, and I've seen that same thing that was on the woodcut has also been my guardian, and has been my angel. And that's another thing that Victor told me. He was like, you've got an angel that's been here the whole time, that she's here for you, and she's here to help you. And you've just been scared. You've been scared of your visionary experiences, and you do have second sight, and she wants you to know that. You do have the ability to stand in both worlds. Everybody does. But I've been kind of hiding from it because I've been afraid. And another thing that was touched on by my friend Nick last night was, the ways we make ourselves small and don't accept our greatness and don't fully live in that. And I'm definitely guilty of that. Another thing I want to talk about real quick was a huge shout out to Don Miguel Luis and everything that's going on there in Colombia, the mudslide and your elders. I was holding space for you last night, and I had a Colombian Moldavite that I had Victor. He was holding his hand over it, and we were both sending you guys some love. So big shout out to you, man. We were holding space for you. And yeah, man. And it was after holding space like that he told me about my angel, and told me that he's got a message from you, from source, from your spirit, from your guardian. So if I hadn't brought that intention into it, if you hadn't posted that, I wouldn't have gotten that message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously. But yeah, I'm waking up, and I'm able to accept it now. So it's a new day. But yeah, I gotta get back to work. But I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.